Third round last year, La Quinta, this putt, final hole, Adam Hadwin, 4 feet for 59, just the 9th player in PGA Tour history to break 60. Of course, Jim Furyk has one-upped everyone else on that list since he's done it twice. So with more on the most recent entry to the sub-60 club, here's Chantel McCabe, who's covering the Career Builder Challenge this week. Chantel, how has Hadwin's life changed since breaking 60?
It is crazy to think that this time a year ago at the Career Builder Challenge, shooting that 59, he was just trying to work on his game. His best finish to date at that point was in 2011, tied for 4th out of all places, the Canadian Open in his home country. So not only did he shoot that 59, he got entered into the World Golf Hall of Fame, but then 2 months later, he used that confidence and motivation and won his first PGA Tour event at the Valspar. And because of that, his life changed professionally and personally. In fact, because he got into the Masters with that win, his honeymoon was delayed 7 months. So now things a year later are totally different for Adam Hadwin. And we caught up with him on La Quinta Country Club, the very course he shot that 59, to talk about what these last 365 days have been like.
Well, I was only engaged. I'm married now. We got a dog now. We have a house now as well. So not only things on the golf course have changed, but certainly off the course as well. It was a crazy year, a bit of a wild ride there for a few months. But it's great. You know, I'm kind of settling into it a little bit. It took me a while afterwards to kind of get comfortable again, I think. But sort of settling into the role, I think, a little bit more. It's getting easier and just understanding that I got to go back to just hard work and back to what I was doing before. I feel good coming into this week. Got some good work in Phoenix last week. Hitting it better, the putter feels good, and hopefully a lot of these those good vibes from last year kind of roll into this year as well. I mean, I've been playing these, not La Quinta, but the other 2 golf courses since Q School in 2011. So I've played a lot of rounds. Maybe it's just I kind of know where to go at this point. I feel comfortable in the desert as well, living in Phoenix. So very similar conditions and type of golf courses. So anytime that I can kind of get on bent and Poa greens, I do much better than that Bermuda.
You heard Adam Hadwin mention that it took a little while for him to get comfortable again. In fact, ever since that win at Valspar, he's only had 1 top 10 finish. But it's good for him to come back to the course that he has good vibes, he calls them. In 2016, he finished tied for 6th, and then last year, of course, a runner-up finish. But I asked him what exactly was going through his mind when he first walked on to La Quinta Country Club today. And he joked and he said, well, I was wondering who had the course record, and that would be him. So a lot of good vibes and good energy for Adam Hadwin going into this week, and a lot of people have been following him, talking to him, totally different than a year ago. George?
All right, thank you, Chantel. Look at the guys who have had sub-60 rounds. Remember Al Geiberger, basically the Roger Bannister of this club, first one to do it back in 1977, FedEx St. Jude Classic. But Jim Furyk topped them all with that 58 at the Travelers back in 2016. LC, take it away.
PGA Tour Champions is in Hawaii this week for its first event of the new year. Let's flash back to 2017 when Bernhard Langer got his season off to a strong start in the Mitsubishi Electric Championship. This was Langer's tee shot on 17. Very typical Bernhard Langer. He would make birdie there. He would go on to win his first of 7 victories last season. Wow. You can't say enough, Rosie, about what Bernhard Langer not only has done in his career, but what he continues to do in his career. 11 wins in his last 2 years. He has 36 total career wins on the PGA Tour Champions. That's just 9 shy of tying Hill Irwin for the all-time mark. We talked about him getting to that point last year. When you think about everything that this man's accomplished and still has that will to and that want to, you look at what his family does. They all rally around him and want him to keep doing more. It's
incredible. You know, Lisa, last year for his 60th birthday, his family chip in and they buy him one of these massage chairs, you know, kind of the sign of old age. And Bernhard admits he loves sitting in it and watching golf and football, which is obviously soccer to him. But, you know, he didn't hit the recline button. He went out and won 3 more times for a 7-win, 3 major championship year and wants to keep it going. And it's not really to him. And talking to him, it's not really about him and Hale Irwin. It's just really more about Bernhard against time, against himself, and, you know, just trying to be as good as he can be, being a good role model, and realizing he doesn't really have too many years left. It's interesting, though, that it would come down to him and Irwin, these 2 grinders, very disciplined players. And Langer's just very pragmatic and a guy who really puts, a straight line between everything. According to his coach, Willie Hoffman, he tells Hoffman, there's only 24 hours in a day and I only have so many days left in my life. He really wants to make the most of it.
When people get to know Bernhard Langer, whether it's on the golf course playing or even off the golf course, what's he like? What's he like as a person? Because we see the grinder.
Yeah. Well, Willie Hoffman, who's been his coach since he was 43 years old, since he showed up with no money and no nothing, basically, wanted to be an apprentice there. And talking to Hoffman, he said, yeah, he's a rich man now compared to his younger days. He had no money, no nothing. But today you don't feel any different when you talk to him. He's always on the ground. And that's Bernhard Langer. He could go out and win 100 golf tournaments in a year, and he's never going to get too ahead of himself.
It's absolutely incredible, not only what he's done, but what he continues to do. Look forward to watching him again this season very much. Thanks, Rosie. Still to come. After going winless in the majors in the 90s, the 2000, well, they were a different decade for Lefty. Part 2 of our 3-part series with Phil Mickelson coming up. And alternate shot, Tiger Woods moves the needle, but he's over 40. Who's under 40 is the biggest name? We'll talk about it. You're watching Golf Central.